Hi everyone, it's Michelle. I just wanted to pop in really quick and give you a real-time update since our videos run a month or more behind sometimes and times have changed suddenly right now. So the next few videos might feel like they're from a different era, but we've decided to share them with you anyways, weeklies on Sundays, just like we've been doing, hoping that they'll bring a bit of levity and make you smile. As far as our family goes, we're all doing great. We're out in nature and we're practicing social distancing. We're keeping up with all the CDC recommendations and we're coming up with a new plan for our family, taking it one day at a time right now. We're grateful for all of your kindness and we love reading your comments. Now I'll send you back in time to the past.
Mama, look what
Something's never changed. Well, we had a great time at Schoolie-Palooza until we all got sick. So we just kind of limped into Phoenix. We knew we wanted to get to a major metropolitan area to just be somewhere to recharge and reevaluate and be around familiar things. So we've been in Phoenix for a couple weeks. Well, Papa got a bunch of bouquets of flowers for Valentine's Day. So today our activity is to divide them into 4 flower arrangements. So we're learning math and we're learning all about flowers.
This is my favorite kind too, the rose, because it's so pretty and light.
Let's count how many we have.
This is my magic wand. I want to keep this.
Don't touch them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
7,
9,
8, 9, 10,
11,
11,
12,
12,
13, 14.
14.
You guys, each vase gets 6 tulips.
I'll give you like a bunch of flower petals and you can fold them onto my head, okay? I'm your fairy godmother.
You are. Beautiful. And the finished product, Mama's happy because I have 4 beautiful flower arrangements for our hotel room to make it feel more homey. Well, it's our home. And the girls are happy because they got to participate in a creative project and also we got to learn some math. We figured we might as well take the chance while we're not bumping down the road to use some glass vases and have some pretty flower arrangements. So once we realized we were staying put for a bit, we decided that now would be a great opportunity to get the RV checked out. We wanted someone to come into the Airstream and look it over and just tell us that everything was gonna be okay. The Airstream dealership we took the Airstream to has this service they offer called the 101 point inspection. And it's a list of 101 things that they come in and check. When we were at the dealership talking to the representative, we also told him one by one each of these little things that needs some love, like our middle blind fell off, the handle of the door cracked, a shelf in the fridge, little stuff like that. So the work order ended up being this massive thing. And then 4 days passed, 5 days passed, 6 days passed, 7 days passed. Over a week went by and we heard nothing.
What is he doing to me? You're being a good girl.
While we were waiting for Airstream to get back to us, Olive took a tumble and has an arm injury now. We have to wait 3 weeks for her cast to be removed. And we figured we should stay put because I would like to go to the same doctor that saw her after her injury. And then while we were doing that, we figured what better time for a grandma visit. So now grandma's coming in and we're gonna spend a week with grandma. The doctor said if she were a bigger kid with the same injury, they would just put a splint on it, like a Velcro removable splint. But since she's 1.5, she's a danger to herself. If she were to fall on it again, which she undoubtedly will, then it could get a lot worse. So the cast is mostly for her own protection. Well, Olive and I came back to the Airstream dealership to check on our home and see how it's doing. Turns out they haven't even looked at it yet. I had to tell the Airstream dealership it just wasn't working out. It's been almost 2 weeks and I showed up to check on it again, and I even took everything off the work order except for the thermostat, which is the one thing that really needs to be looked at. And I still couldn't pin them down on a date that they would even begin to look at it. It's just a bad fit because this is our home and it's too stressful for me to not have any idea when they might get around to doing it.
When we got to Phoenix, the Airstream was super dirty. I had never washed it before, and I thought, well, we just came out of boondocking at Schoolypalooza, and there's all this dust all over everything. A couple of days after I took it to the car wash, the thermostat was doing an error code. I knew right away that it was me spraying soapy water up into the air conditioners that was not the right move. But it turns out that after we got the Airstream back from the dealer, it worked again. Just giving it a week sitting in sunny Arizona, untouched, was enough to dry out all those components, and then the thermostat started working again.
The thermostat's working. Michael got the Airstream back to the hotel, went in, just decided to fiddle with it because why not? Because that's the one thing that we really need to get figured out before we move on from here. And it worked. We're never gonna bring our Airstream into a dealer again and say, hey, fix everything. Maintenance is gonna be an ongoing thing for us on the road, and this experience really pushed us to realize that we have to learn to fix everything ourselves. If we really need to, we'll take the Airstream in, but it's gonna be for one issue that's keeping us from moving. An example of one of the things on our list was our fridge. Yeah, it has some issues. It doesn't run on AC power. It has a broken shelf, but it works. So we defrosted and cleaned the fridge, but when we left the Airstream at the dealership, I left it closed like this. And apparently it wasn't completely dried out after being cleaned. And it must have not been cleaned that well because now it's got moldy spots all over it. So it has to be re-cleaned and it has to be re-dried out. And it can't be shut right after being cleaned and dried out. I don't know what the moral of the story is, but it seems like every mistake we're making, we're also learning a valuable piece of information along with it. So I say bring it on. The more mistakes, the better, in a sense. Now we have a defrosted fridge. Yeah, I have to re-clean it, but now I know what to do to clean it better. It's a clear acrylic rod that goes here, and I used to use it every time I got up into the Airstream because I often have a baby strapped to my chest, so I'm kind of heaving myself up. Sun damage over time just cracked it, and maybe just because I'm so heavy. But it's something that we can find the part, we can figure out how to install it, we can do it ourselves. Also on our list were these lights, which are not broken, they work great. We just bump our heads on them all the time, and the baby bumps her head on it all the time. We're just always bumping our heads on these lights. So we wanted to price out what it would be like if we got lights that were recessed into the ceiling there. Okay, here's another good example of something that was on our list that we totally don't need help with. So we lost this end piece somewhere along the road, and now the curtain doesn't stay on. We told the Airstream dealership about that, and they said, yeah, we can order you that piece, but it'll take 8 weeks to get here. Anyway, we were looking over the 101-point checklist, and we realized that a lot of the items on that checklist are not even really relevant anymore because so many customizations have been made inside the Airstream.
This whole box was added as part of that customization. It's a switch that you can use to flip between boondock mode and shore power mode. There's no reason that we need to have things inspected that we know are working fine.
So now there's nothing actually holding us back from getting back on the road. The thermostat works, the furnace works. We could just leave tomorrow if we wanted. But rather than do that, rather than jump right back on the road, I think now's the perfect time to just tackle those DIY projects because we want to learn. We want to figure out how to fix these things. We want to do the handle, maybe fix the blind. We want to learn how to fix all these things. We basically repossessed our Airstream from the dealership, and now it's back where it started in the back of the hotel. So we're back to square one, but we figured now we can do a bunch of DIY projects on our own.
So there's this light in here. We've never used it. I think it was probably just a burned out bulb, or maybe there's some wiring that needed to be fixed, but we didn't want to turn it on. We never thought to turn it on anyway. Well, I managed to get this off, and it turns out there's only a little hole there that I have to patch. I get up almost 2 inches of headroom. This is really good news for tall people. Capped off this pair of wires, so I'm just gonna poke them back up there, For now, I'm going to do something temporary just to block the steam.
Somebody's turned into Mr. Fix-It.
So Michelle's iPhone has a cracked screen and a cracked home button. She's taking care of the 3 girls and she really depends on her phone to get stuff done. She also uses her phone to make little videos that she can post on Instagram and Patreon. So I need to get this phone fixed. She has no idea how it got cracked. I don't want to name any names, but one of our daughters recently learned how to say the word phone. So coincidence? That might have something to do with it, I don't know. I don't know if it's a coincidence that I'm sitting in that child's desk or not. I was able to get a new screen. I think it was $69. You can get your parts anywhere, but I happen to like this iFixit site because they offer these free step-by-step repair guides. For an extra $5, they give you a kit that has all the tools you need. 23 steps. This is rated at moderate difficulty, and the time required is 30 minutes to 2 hours. So if I drop these screws, I'm never going to find them again, so I need to be extra careful. I'm going to go get some cups. Good, that fits right in this little desk. 18 steps to get the display off. I guess I just didn't read closely enough, but the replacement screen does not include the home button. There's a hole there for it, you can see at the bottom of the screen, and you're expected to reuse your home button, so that's going to be a separate repair. Okay, I lost my window light, and I needed a hairdryer to soften the adhesive. So we moved over to the bathroom here. What I'm trying to do now is separate this home button from the display. They recommend you heat it with a hairdryer for a little bit to soften the adhesive. And then you can use this guitar pick that also came with it, basically to pry it up. I was actually just starting to doubt myself. And then I noticed the inside of this box. It says, "You got this." In the picture, it shows you gracefully surgically lifting that home button out of the display, but I just poked it out. This is my new display here. I guess there's just some protective plastic, but looks identical. It looks like it's the perfect part. These are the parts that I ended up taking out. This is not the way to do it. It'd be much better to have these on a magnetic project board. 13 tiny screws with 3 different heads, 3 different brackets, and I also ended up unplugging 4 connectors from this screen here. I got all the screws and all the brackets put together. That's basically all there is. All I have to do is reassemble the case. It's held together by adhesive originally, and I'm not replacing that. So it's going to be less waterproof now. But hey, okay, the moment of truth, I've reassembled everything. Let's find out if this is going to power on and if the screen works. Look at that. I actually didn't put the last 2 case screws in yet because I just wanted to see if it booted up in case I had to take everything apart again. Okay, it looks like the screen's working, but I'm having some trouble unlocking it without the home button. Even though the difficulty with the home button not working is still there, at least she's got a fully functional screen and she'll be able to read everything that comes across her screen. What do you think? Do you think she'll be happy? Let's find out. Okay.
Come on in.
Oh, I thought you were gonna leave.
Good news.
Yay! I have my phone back.
The bad news is the home button is a different part and didn't come with it.
Oh, okay. Well, at least I can see. That's the most important thing. We're on our way to go pick up our first visitor, Grandma. It's Grandma!
Hi, Linda. How are you? So good to see you. Hug, 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 hug. Are you okay? Double hug. Double hug. Oh, it's so good to see you.
You guys, we drove to the biggest puddle you've ever seen.
Yes, we did.
You're a good splasher.
Grandma came from here all the way to here to see us. He's an artist.
Do you know which Thank you.
Let's show Papa the camera. These are all music toys. Today we're in the Desert Botanical Garden with Grandma. Lyndon and Maple are at Kids Park, and Olive, Grandma, and me all came to the Desert Botanical Garden. And there's a bunch of different loops you can take, and you get to see all the wildlife and plants and foliage that grow naturally in the desert. And there's also an exhibition where you get to see how the Sonoran Desert people lived back in the olden days. They have their bedroom quarters. It's bigger than an Airstream. And this would be the kitchen.